This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets. OPEC oil output rose in September to its highest since April 2020, a Reuters survey found, as Nigerian output recovered from involuntary losses and the group's top producers further eased supply curbs under a pact with its allies. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries has pumped 27.31 million barrels per day, BPD. The survey found, up 420,000 barrels of oil per day from August's revised estimate. Output has risen every month since June 2020, apart from in February. OPEC and allies, known as OPEC Plus, are easing output cuts made in April 2020 as demand recovers, although due to a lack of capacity in some members OPEC Plus is not delivering the full boost promised.
Small firms caught in China's prolonged energy crunch are turning to diesel generators, or simply shutting shop, as coal industry officials voiced fears about stockpiles ahead of winter and manufacturing shrank in the world's No. 2 economy. Beijing is scrambling to deliver more coal to utilities to restore supply as the Northeast grapples with its worst power outages in years, particularly the three provinces of Liaoning, Heilongjiang and Jilin, home to nearly 100 million people. Gao Lai, who runs an industrial laundry service in Shenyang, the capital of Liaoning, said he was losing money after the power crunch forced him to hire a diesel generator.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Oil prices erased most of their losses and were trading little changed on Thursday following reports China was prepared to buy more oil to meet growing demand. Brent futures for November delivery fell 11 cents, or 0.1%, to $78.53 a barrel by 11:43 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 15:43 GMT. While U.S. West Texas Intermediate, WTI, crude rose 48 cents, or 0.6%, to $75.31. Brent futures for December, which will soon be the front month, were up 0.3% to $78.30 a barrel. Earlier in the day prices fell over $1 a barrel on higher U.S. crude oil inventories and a strong dollar.
More than 2,000 British gas stations were still dry on Thursday due to a shortage of truck drivers which was starting to disrupt deliveries to pharmacies, while farmers warned a lack of butchers could lead to a massive cull of pigs. In a chaotic week where fights broke out at gas stations and people filled up old water bottles with petrol, British ministers have repeatedly said the crisis was easing, though they ordered soldiers on Wednesday to start driving fuel tankers. Ministers have rejected accusations that the trucker shortage was caused by Britain's withdrawal from the European Union, pointing to similar shortfalls elsewhere after COVID-19 lockdowns halted thousands of truck driver tests.
Next, we have the top news in metal markets.
China hiked its annual rare earth output quotas on Thursday by 20% year-on-year to their highest levels on record, as it seeks to increase supply for manufacturers. A statement from the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology said the 2021 rare earth mining output had been set at 168,000 tons, up from 140,000 last year. The 2021 quota for smelting and separation, or processing of rare earths into a form that can be used by manufacturers, is 162,000 tons, also up 20% on the year, the statement jointly issued with the Ministry of Natural Resources showed.
Ukraine plans to ban scrap metal exports until the end of 2022 to prevent a shortage of raw materials for the local steel industry and a drop in steel output, the Economy Ministry said on Thursday. It published a draft resolution, which needs the government's approval. The ministry said that metal scrap exports had grown almost 20 times in January-August year-on-year, and if the trend continued the deficit may amount to more than 500,000 tons by the end of 2021. That will cause a decrease in steel production of 9.5% and could lead to the loss of 25,000 jobs. We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector. The wheat area in England for this year's harvest rose 31% from 2020 to 1.66 million hectares, Britain's Farm Ministry said on Thursday, issuing the results of its June survey. The increase was slightly bigger than the provisional 28% rise seen by the ministry last month. The ministry said the rise represented a return to more expected levels following a large reduction last year. The previous season's wet weather during the autumn planting window for wheat forced many farmers to switch to spring-sown crops such as spring barley.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.